Good afternoon, Patriots. And welcome to another edition of Quarantime. As always, I'm your host, RP, and joining me live in the studio is my co-host, M3. Do us a favor, please like and share this broadcast. Help us break through the algorithm. We sure do appreciate it. Got almost 1,000 people here. Patriots from all over the globe. It's a pleasure to serve with you fine Anons. We got the docs. Grinnell came through. He pushed the hand of Adam Schiff, and then he came and dropped some more. We've got so much stuff to go over today. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to my real red pill girlfriend. Thank you to my mom. And most of all, thank you to you guys for showing up. All right, fam, please do us a favor. Sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. Franklin's Finest Coffee is the first ever emergency survival coffee with an actual up to 25-year shelf life. The kit provides a 1-year supply of flavorful Franklin's Finest coffee for one person. It's conveniently packaged in 12 resealable, 60-serving, heavy-duty 4-layer zipper pouches for a total of 720 servings. It's all packaged in a rugged, water-resistant bucket for easy storage, and Franklin's Finest Coffee is the ultimate survival perk, especially for those that drink coffee on a daily basis. Or you can take it camping. It's 100% Colombian, and it's also the perfect item for barter or trade in an emergency. You'll thank us later for that tip. As Benjamin Franklin said, among the numerous luxuries on the table, coffee may be considered as one of the most valuable. It excites cheerfulness without intoxication, and the pleasing flow of spirits which it occasions is never followed by sadness, languor, or debility. Welcome, family. So glad to have you guys here. Another edition of Quarantime. As always, I'm your host, RP, and joining me in studio is my good friend and co-host, M3.
What's going on, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How is everybody in the chat doing? Just want to say hello to all of these fine people that have joined us here today. We've got so many people here. Do appreciate it, guys. Please, if you have not yet, consider liking and sharing this broadcast. If you have not yet subscribed, consider also going to the channel page, hitting the subscribe button, and make sure that you hit that notification bell for all notifications. Lower Norwood says, Freedom Friday, congratulations, General Flynn, where we go one, we go all. It is certainly quite a day.
You're right. No, and we had noticed some things after the show yesterday, I guess, finding out about Flynn. You know, we got excited, but there's a couple different interesting things that happened for us. First off, yesterday was our 30th episode. Mm-hmm. And Flynn freed in 30, not saying it has anything to do with this episode, but we were laughing about that after the show.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
And then another thing to point out was yesterday was the National Day of Prayer.
Yes.
And we forgot to mention that. And so it being biblical and having all those documents come in like a flood. Mm-hmm. You know, just two things that we didn't point out yesterday, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So some incredible crazy coincidences. You gotta love it. Face the Music says 2 months watching, love show and its hosts, recovering liberal, awake for a year or so. I'm a cashier, red pilling all I can, refusing to wear a muzzle, and case is being reviewed. May set precedent. Love it. Absolutely love it. welcome to the family. We're glad to have you here. Glad that you were able to break out of your programming and join us on the right side of the aisle. Now, I want to show this pin off real quick, guys. Some of you keen-eyed anons might have noticed this yesterday. I'm pulling a Hannity. My friends Steven and Janet sent me that yesterday. Now, also, I got an incredible gift. This is along the same lines as my buddy Red Pill's Warhawk's Tomahawk, but here is a business card. This is from Caravaggio Knife and Bow, Lou Caraballo. And here is a handmade knife that Lou made me, okay? He made that, I don't know what this is called, like the pouch or something like that. And open it up, and it is hand scored with like scales on it. It's all sharp. It's got a copper hilt and this handmade wooden handle. Pretty amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Lou. I really do appreciate it, buddy. So thank you for that. And thank you for everybody who sent letters and stuff too. There's too many to even mention and go into. I am so grateful for you guys. So grateful that we had the opportunity to be here experiencing this moment in history. It truly is an incredible time. We got some really, really great posts over the last 24 hours. After we got off the air, it was just a lot of great drops. So one of the first that we're going to talk about is going to be the actual docs that were released. Adam Schiff put out a statement. He made it sound like the OD&I had been stonewalling, but we know that that's not the case. Here's the actual website, intelligence.house.gov. I'm going to go ahead and drop that into the chat for you guys. We've got, there's 53 interviews included in here, and it includes all the materials from their investigation into the Russia debacle that never actually happened. You got a couple of letters between the Hipsy and Grinnell. Also between Hipsy and the Director of National Intelligence. Let's see, what else? And then here's all the transcripts. I mean, some real winners in here. You got Steve Bannon. You've got James Clapper. You got Dan Coates. You've got Evelyn Farkas. You've got Hope Hicks. You've got David Kramer, Jared Kushner, Corey Lewandowski, Andrew McCabe, Brad Parscale, Carter Page. I mean, the list goes on. John Podesta. I mean, this is literally days and days and days of reading material here, if not years. Okay, so kind of what we're asking for you guys to do is start digging through this stuff, because that is quite honestly what I believe our favorite Anon wants us to do. I mean, we're meant to read this, but I don't think it's possible for any one person to read every single document themselves. We're going to do our best, but Methods, I was just wondering if you had a chance to go through any of them, if you had any highlights for us.
Right, well, some of the highlights are going to be in the tweets that we're going to share here in a few. But I went through some of them, but I was more like hopping all over the place to seeing like the places I know to go on Twitter. You know, your Technofogs, your Undercover Huber, your Rosie Memos and stuff. And on top of that, the team of researchers that you and I work with, we're doing an incredible job. And we actually have, I don't know if we're going to release it today or not. I don't know if it made it to the bio, but we have a mega file that we put together, or it has been put together by some awesome people that we work with. Shout out to you guys. Yeah. That's got all the transcripts in it for like a one-time download where you get the entire file of everything. And we're going to be updating it with all the screen caps and highlights of stuff that we found along the way, whether we got it off of Twitter, off of 8kun, or, you know, our researchers found it themselves. So it's something that we're going to be releasing here soon for everybody to kind of, you know, check, and then you can just, you know, reload and see what we've been adding over the time. Because like you said, there's a lot of stuff in there, but the stuff that's already made it to the light of day and being discussed in the public forum is pretty damning.
Yeah, it's huge. And I actually, the reason I didn't put it in there yet is because I couldn't find it in the volumes of information that were included in that. I mean, I see all the individual files, but I can't seem to locate the actual mega file. So I don't know if you can help out with that. But the next post that we were going to talk about was the post that includes a tweet from Kevin Cork. So he let us know last night that sources told him that DNI Rich Grinnell was planning to release an additional trove of documents as early as today. He definitely did drop those off last night, and there was apparently a duffel bag full of documents, like a straight satchel. He showed up with just a ton of information. So I can only imagine what's in there. I mean, we were supposed to be watching the news yesterday. Obviously, we had some big booms. Today, I'm hoping there's going to be some additional ones. Friday is, always a day that, it's touch or go. And then next week, definitely there's going to be a ton of information that comes out next week. I need to say thank you to Ohio Knights. Thank you to Bob Ayala. What a beautiful black sky. Greetings, Patriots from East Texas. Elizabeth Cole says, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And Marty Cannon says, hey guys, sorry haven't tuned in the last few episodes. Know anything for those who haven't received a stimulus let. Love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. Marty, I would direct you to that IRS link that I shared previously. I don't have it handy right now, but I know that if you didn't file your taxes last year, then they are not sending it out. You have to get your taxes done. Even if you don't owe any money, you got to get your taxes done and then send it in, and then they go ahead and send it out. Now, I did get my stimulus. It wasn't the same amount as other people got. Some people got more, some people got less. I happened to get less, but whatever it is, I'm grateful that they even sent anything out, because I wasn't certain at a certain point if I was going to be getting anything, but they did. So that's good.
Right, well, I DM'd you or tagged you where it is, the link and the password to the mega file. So you should have that available now. But this is very interesting in general, because you see what's coming out here, and the big takeaway from all these documents that we're seeing so far is what we already all assumed, right? Yeah. Is that the Obama administration, all these players involved, the ones that have been, complaining on Twitter and acting like they're all in the up and up, or going on mainstream media and saying all these different things. It's being said there's an entirely different story that's developing in these transcripts, that's painting the picture, and all roads lead to the Obama administration pulling these strings. And that's, to me, is the best thing, because we were talking about this earlier, and I want to make sure that we get this in. Having all this stuff play out the way that it has is making more and more sense by the day. We have, we had the whole Russia collusion investigation happen. We've had the mainstream media for years pushing it down our throats, trying to attack us, and then defend all these people that Trump keeps attacking. So now it should make sense why Trump attacks these people, right? Like, he does his tweets calling them out, because he knows that the media is going to do the exact opposite and defend these people. So there's all this record of that, the add-ons. And another reason why the movement's so important is because we've been collecting all this stuff along the way. So now you have these transcripts come out that's showing that they didn't have evidence. They hadn't seen the evidence any way that they wanted to word it, the not to my knowledge, or I'm not sure, or I don't recollect. It's all painting a picture that there wasn't anything there to begin with. Yeah. And yet this still kept going. So what you're seeing with these release of documents at this time is the dismantling of the entire narrative, and explaining why what's about to happen with Barr and Durham and where things are going here in the future. So it's very exciting to see that we're at this part of the movie.
And this part right here is what was represented in that post that came up right after, the repost of the gunship pointing the laser pointer directly on the target. Because we now have confirmation that these people were lying the entire time while they were out in public, going on MSDNC and CNN, stating that, they had evidence that President Trump colluded, that Michael Flynn committed a crime, that Michael Flynn lied. We can now look to their own words in the testimony, and it proves that there was nothing ever there to begin with. So now there's a laser pointed on these guys. The entire media is going to be forced to go ahead and change their tune. This reminds me of the Mark Taylor prophecy, where the media finally gets on board. I think that they're going to be looking at a lot of problems for the media, because now it's going to be obvious that they were also colluding in certain ways. They were lying to back up their Dem overlords, and they were willing to do and say anything they could to try to remove President Trump. But now that we have their words to use against them, they're going to be in a world of hurt, basically.
Well, and that's a big part. I know that we always kind of assumed when our favorite Anon said archive offline that the internet went down. or platforms get taken down.
Yeah.
But having all these archives of these people saying this stuff, blatantly lying, and I'm not just talking about these media hacks, which is important to have, but how many times has Schiff been on CNN and all these others selling this lie that now he's been hiding these transcripts that all disagree with him. So it's definitely exciting. And real quick, I noticed that you just dropped. Okay, so in the bio of this show on this episode, you'll see just a little bit down a mega.nz folder link and a key for the password. That's the one I was talking about with all the transcripts in it, and it's still in a work in progress, obviously, with all this information. But we're going to be dropping more and more like clip outs of what we see, highlighting stuff and showing it and having it organized with some of the best researchers we know. So just keep that handy, save that stuff, and then just check back every once in a while, and we'll be updating it as we go.
All right. Now, I also see several people in the chat saying that it's not illegal to lie because of the Smith-Mundt Act. I'm not talking about them breaking laws. I'm talking about them destroying their credibility. They're only worth as much as their words. And if we have the proof, we have the receipts showing that they are completely not credible, what does that mean for their ability to stay in government? What does that mean for their ability to continue to find work as a talking head? Who's going to turn into these fake news media stations if they know that they've been lied to the entire time? See, the people who haven't caught up yet, they've been waiting for their side to be completely vindicated. And now the exact opposite is happening. So I think that you're going to see a lot of people starting to turn because they're going to be forced to come to the realization that everything that they've been saying has been based upon nothing. It is just a completely big bag of air, okay? They're not going to be able to have anything to stand on at this point. President Trump is going to be vindicated. The people who did do illegal things are going to go down for what they did, and it is a difference if they lied to Congress, So, I mean, we're going to have to see what happens with that based upon the way that Jim Comey, Andrew McCabe, they lied to Congress. It's very possible that they could find themselves, with some criminal charges over and above anything that may have been speculated on up to this point.
Right. And so to that point, yeah, they can get away with propaganda to a degree. Hopefully that's going to get changed through legislation over time. But it's as important, if not more, even though they kind of go hand in hand. So please understand what I'm trying to say, that the spell be broken, that you trust the mainstream media as much as these people being in the media being held accountable. They go hand in hand, but this breaking the spell is important. And that's where the playing the old clips back and sharing them around, showing your friends and family of, well, they told you blatantly this, 2 years ago. And then now here's this document that's federal and it's their own side saying it in a transcript, and it's our job. Once again, every day I understand more and more why this movement needed to happen. Whether, our favorite non brought us together, God's intervention, because I know a lot of people felt the calling to help and be involved in this. I've had a lot of discussions with people and it's really, really cool. But this needed to happen in this way so we can use these resources again and this information against their narrative, because this is more about the future than it is about right now, minus the election, of course.
Right. All right, so the next post includes a Twitter status from Shannon Bream, and it says, focus on tomorrow first. But it says, if you're still catching your breath from today, I'm told next week will involve a bombshell. I'm standing by. I think that we're all pretty much expecting the same thing. Yesterday, if the Flynn exoneration and the dropping of these interviews is just the beginning of this portion of the D-class, then undoubtedly the information that's going to be contained in the next section is going to be even more explosive. It's going to be an incredible week next week. I think that it's just going to be hit after hit after hit, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. Now, the next post, we've got post 4146. It includes a picture of President Trump saying, drain it. And then below, we have an image of a stealth bomber. Ken 8-Bit, honey, I don't know what Ken was talking about. Was he talking about this picture or was he talking about a different picture? But, looking at this methods, it kind of makes me wonder if President Trump wasn't the stealth bomber all along.
Well, there's been a lot of cool speculation about, because our favorite Anon is referred to bombers as in plural. So I'm curious to see what the point of having, because the meme obviously is saying that there's going to be some draining happening here, but who is going to be relaying that package from the bomber? It's going to be definitely interesting. It might have been referring to Grinnell and that satchel pouch thing he had.
He could have been, yeah. I mean, there's so many different possibilities. It could be anywhere. Let's see. Face the Music says, one more thing, printing flyers to put at a grocery store since everyone is gathered there, an online crackdown. Food for thought, pun intended. If you aren't standing up, you're lying down. Chicago 525. Is there going to be some action taking place in Chicago? Come back to basics, pre-1950s, Latin Mass a must. Keep spreading the word to get out the house. God bless. My humble opinion, don't endorse couples living together without marriage, nor if marry 10 commandments, just so my Lord knows where I stand. Thank you for that. I gotta say, that's why Real Red Pill Girlfriend and I don't live together yet. Diane W. says, misprison of treason, the deliberate concealment of one's knowledge of a treasonable act, that includes lying. That's an excellent point. Just because they're lying to the American public doesn't mean they can't get in trouble for the misprison of treason.
Well, yeah, and Trump said this morning on that early Vox and Friends that, he talked about the immunity in the halls of Congress stuff. I suggest going back and watching the entire interview. It was great, particularly the first half of it or so. Talked a lot about this stuff. But yeah, no, I enjoyed watching it this morning over coffee.
Yeah. Corey Becker says, just wanted to share Pennsylvania's Governor Wolf is keeping us closed until June 4th. You can see the map online. Trump said an hour ago what Wolf is doing is a disgrace. God bless both of you, RP79. M3. I know what you meant, though. Denise says, wonder why there's a man with a dog behind that plane. Yeah, actually. It looks to me like it's just somebody in the military with a service dog. But here, let's do a big close-up on it so we can see. I didn't notice that when I looked at it on my phone before. That's hilarious. So, yeah, probably just a guy.
Told you, man. People find everything.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. All right, pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Sheila Garrett says, finally caught you guys live. God bless General Flynn. So happy for him and his family. I will continue to support him financially until he's able to recover his losses. Love you, RP and M3. Somebody on Twitter, my buddy Hogg, one of the mods, sent me a tweet from someone that had done the math, and if 30 million of us, there's undoubtedly 30 million of us who have some form of income, if we all donated a quarter to General Flynn's defense fund, then he would have enough money to buy his home back and not have to, worry about, paying a mortgage. I mean, he'd have to pay his taxes and stuff like that. But, I mean, he would own the house outright. So, just knowing that, I shared it on Twitter. I donated again to General Flynn yesterday. And if anybody is in a position to even donate a small amount, I suggest doing that because it doesn't take that much. For, how many people do we have? If just, the people watching my channel were able to donate and give a small amount, then he would have an incredible chest, war chest to be able to get his house back. I think he deserves it. Red Pills Warhawk says, who would win in a fight, Slick Willie or Little Adam Schiff? Ooh, I think Adam Schiff would win. He's got the reach on Billy, and Bill is pretty old at this point. I mean, plus I think he has advanced symptoms of ARC. Look that up. ARC. With those lesions on his face. AIDS-related complex.
No, I think it'd be like one of those viral clips where the two people knock each other out at the same time.
I think that would be great. Bum fights. You remember bum fights?
Yeah, I remember those. But yeah, no, I wouldn't put money on either side because that means that I'm touting one as a victor. So it's not going to happen.
All right. The next post, 4147, shows Michael Atkinson in the kill box. I think this is very telling, and it kind of falls under what President Trump was saying earlier today, talking about how he doesn't fire people, he lets them essentially do themselves in. Michael Atkinson did that here. We were talking about this earlier. President Trump is actually the one who appointed Michael Atkinson. I mean, he was already in a position within the government when President Trump came into to office. But I would think that it was probably... President Trump knew that Michael Atkinson was dirty from the get-go. Michael Atkinson, it's been known by certain people in certain law enforcement agencies that Michael Atkinson had some nasty stuff to do with Hillary Clinton, if you go far back enough. Michael Atkinson was always one of the bad guys. He directly was involved in attempting to help the fake whistleblower try to take down President Trump, he who cannot be named. And, he changed the form, he changed the rules. He basically allowed this guy to lie and tried to use his position of power to try to remove President Trump. It didn't work. Atkinson is out. I'm wondering if today we're not going to get a revelation about Atkinson, or if perhaps that might be included in next week. But because Atkinson is directly in the kill box, I do believe we're going to get something on him rather soon.
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. I mean, there's not much more to say until we see something coming out, but the role that he played with, the Ukraine stuff, and he's been in DOJ type intel community stuff since 9/11. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of reason to know that he played roles in certain things. And I'm wondering, because it gets brought up by Bongino and other people, the same people that were involved in the Ukraine stuff, you can kind of tie, very easily to the people at Spygate, whether it's the same people or the same circles. So kind of having, back and forth, well, if they get exposed in this situation, then what were they doing in the other, and vice versa.
Sure. Bruce Wayne, pin idea. Thoughts from Willow Pen Hotel. Bruce said there's a lot of logistics that would have to be worked out for me to sell a pin. You guys, put a 1 in the chat if you would like to own your own Red Pill 78 button, much like this Punisher button. Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like to own a button. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't want to. But even if I did it, there would have to be somebody would have to be sending that stuff out. The shirts that I have right now, it goes through a service. I don't touch it. It doesn't mail out from where I live or anything like that. And that is, the biggest concern. I would have to, send them from my house or something like that. And I don't know that I would want to do it. It's an interesting idea, though, and it looks like essentially everybody would like to own a Red Pill 78 pin. I'm not seeing... there's a 2. Dogs at Play. Had to be 1. 1, 2, or 3, Agent 19. All right, there's a couple of people who don't care. Craig Mason. Welcome, Craig Mason's Reasonable Conversation channel. Good to see you, buddy. He's been killing it lately, dude. Let's see. Red Pills Warhawk says he agrees with methods. Man, you set me up, Red Pills Warhawk. Thanks, bro. Elder says, it seems to me that some of the states that are putting such harsh control over their people could be under China control. I have suggested that myself before. William Palmer, what's the 3 for? What? And then Hog, he'll take 4. Oh, okay. EO2 Dave, does that mean you want 5, or you're just messing with the poll? What do you think? Methods, we've kind of speculated on this before. The states that are putting in the most draconian CCP-style controls, could those be the states that Pompeo was directly referring to when he talked about that list of CCP sympathizers within the state governments?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was, most definitely, especially since, China's kind of been in the hot seat as far as, a laser reporter being on what they've been doing. I'd be interested to see that, because didn't they release the list of who he was talking about? I saw a list floating around, but I never saw that it was sauced
I didn't see it. Yeah,
I didn't see it. Well, if there is that list out there and it's sauced to an actual website instead of just a screen cap cutout, then I would be very interested to see that side by side. That because it would be a bet I would make.
Yeah,
that there's a correlation.
All right. I mean, I can see it too. Nevermind Crabs, would you provide a link here on YouTube for Flynn donation? It's just Mike Flynn Defense Fund. Hold on, I'll get it.
I read that earlier, and I already grabbed it. I'm dropping it a few times now in the chat.
Thank you so much, Methods. Thank you so much. Also, I could care less how many times you blink. I love you, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The great blink debate of 2020.
I know, right? Who'd have thunk? I never thought it was even an issue. Jojo Sunshine, donations matter and can help us to see our collective power. Donate to Flynn, boycott Amazon, buying from Amazon funds treason and dark propaganda. Isn't Amazon under the hot seat right now? I think I heard the other day that Jeff Bezos was potentially he's been asked to come testify before Congress. And man, I wish I had the article, you guys. I know that I pulled it up on my phone and I meant to do it on a show and I never did.
Yeah, let me grab it. Now, we had mentioned it before, but he's being called because it has to do with selling, they were using the privacy data that they were collecting to then work on what they were selling products, because Amazon has their own products,
right?
So I'm grabbing it real quick because it's recent news.
Nice, appreciate that. Zoe Baby 16, and thank you for joining as a member. Trump Be Cool says, watching a couple of bombers fly over in the East Valley of Arizona today. B-17, B-25, and a C-47. It was commemorating VE Day. Awesome sight. 16 waypoints plus Falcon Field to equal 17. There we go. Cool. John Howe just wanted to mention, I believe that we all have value, and then in the end, we are all fighting for each other. I absolutely 100% agree. Now, I do have one question. Ghostbusters 3, The Paranormal Files, are you the official account for the Ghostbusters 3 movie? Because I know it's coming out like next year. How funny would that be? But yeah, John, you're absolutely right. We all have value. We all have our part to play in this movement, and each one of us is extremely important, because together as a movement, 100%, we are, one cohesive unit. We're all fighting for the same thing. And, I will say that it doesn't mean that you have to like everybody in the movement, but I would suggest that it means that you just be polite, because that's what's important. Let's see. Okay, so the next post is particularly relevant to what we're talking about right now and what we do every day. The news is dead. You are what matters now. Handle with care. And I'm going to take this right back to what Methods and I always say. We've got to be careful with the information we present. When we put stuff out there, we have to make sure we mention whether it's sauced or whether it's just a theory. Because people are so hungry for the truth. They're so excited to hear what, from somebody that they trust, that whatever the information that they're getting is true, because they know that they've been lied to. So if we go out there and we say something is true when we can't verify that it is, it causes a lot of confusion. And I'm sure that people can think of at least one or two examples of how that's happened recently. Let's see. Come Back to Basics says, Red Pill is Thomas okay? Great job. Blessings. Thanks, buddy. I haven't talked to Thomas in a couple weeks, man. We've both been so busy. I know he's been doing like 3 shows a day, and I've been doing 2 shows a day. I will reach out to Thomas. Thomas, if you're watching, I hope you're all right. And the very fact that somebody is asking makes me feel like perhaps you're not, buddy. So I hope that everything's okay. All right, so the next post, we've got a meme of the Great Awakening, and it's a Twitter status, King of Free Speech. Let's go ahead and take a look. And it is this guy, Philip Anderson, sharing this doctor, a doctor with absolutely no Fs left to give, grabs a microphone and absolutely destroys Dems in their nationwide CV-19 shutdown. Methods, I know that you shared this. You want to give us a play-by-play?
Oh, are you talking about the King of Free Speech? Yeah. Basically, you have a doctor saying a lot of things that we've been saying. He's saying it in front of, he's got the microphone. You can kind of hear a crowd, but the camera's focused on him. Mm-hmm. And he's calling out all these different things about how, masks and stuff not necessarily being, as required as they're saying, and just the overhyping of it is for, politics and narratives and stuff. I mean, I don't want to undersell it. I suggest to everybody to just watch it because it's very motivational. It's one of the first things I saw this morning, and I thought it was great.
Okay, let me share it here in the chat. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay, here you go, guys. We'll share that. Go check that out. Definitely worth a look. Okay, so the next post is a link to a story from Fox News, the only partially credible news source in the mainstream.
And that's still up for debate.
Yes,
too.
No, I'm being very generous. So Trump calls for dirty cops to pay big price for Russia probe after release of transcripts in Fox and Friends interview. Now, Lisa May actually grabbed a clip of this, 1 minute from the meat of it, and then she's got a thread. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
That the Department of Justice dropped the case against Michael Flynn. You've been talking about a Russia hoax for years. Is this proof you were right?
Well, absolutely. I think most people knew it. Really, most people knew it from the beginning, and they knew it was just a total hoax. It was a made-up story, a disgrace to our nation, made it impossible for us to deal with other countries, including Russia. because of what they were doing. You can't deal like that. You can have relationships, you can have trade, you can have peace. You don't have to fight wars. And they made it a very, very dangerous situation. And I've been able to maneuver it, but it was a very dangerous situation what they did. These are dirty politicians and dirty cops and some horrible people, and hopefully they're going to pay a big price someday in the not-too-distant future.
Well, guys, I would say that
announcement that the Department of Justice.
I would say that we are at that point. The not-too-distant future is literally just around the corner. It's been completely revealed exactly how deep this corruption ran. And now that the American public have seen all of these docs are out, there's going to be additional docs hopefully later today, additional revelations next week. You're not going to be able to put that genie back in the bottle. And with the speed with which Bill Barr has worked in the recent weeks, I can see something coming down the pipeline. I'm very excited for it.
Oh, it's going to have to happen because the train's leaving the station. We can all see it. I'm not really seeing a lot of nothing's happening anymore.
No, people will shut up about that.
Right. I mean, me and you, and I know a lot of people who spend a lot of time on Twitter and stuff, see that all the time.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it much, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Even though if there's any trolls out there that follow me on Twitter, I'm sure that you're already running over there to say something.
Nothing.
Which is fine. But yeah, quick shout out to everybody. We've got just about 4,500 people here hanging out. We'll see 1.6 thousand likes. If we would appreciate it if you click that like button, turn it blue. And I also want to thank everybody for showing up in my PayPal, and I want to thank the mods and everybody for sharing links. Appreciate it.
Yes. Don't forget, Methods has been doing this since the beginning for free, you guys, so we appreciate the support. J-Bone says, RP and Methods, give Chris Berg POV a follow. News anchor, host of Point of View, true patriot. I'll go ahead and check him out. Gaffer Anon says, Chris, let's be honest, are you J-Bone? Gaffer Anon says, I'm just here to eat popcorn and learn a thing or two. Don't let your memes be dreams. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you, Gaffer Anon. Good to see you, buddy. Then Just a Country Girl says, so the only possible way for our favorite Anon to do what he or she does is to be able to predict the future. Future proves past, or time travel, or am I missing something? I think, and I've said this before on the show, looking glass technology, time travel, I think it's totally plausible. But I also know that they are deeply invested in game theory, okay? And I think that because they're military, they planned out a bunch of contingencies, and I think they know their enemies, okay? So I think that they know, like, if we do A, it's most likely they're going to do B. And so they kind of plan around that. So if they go one way, if they pivot one way, then they've got a certain action that they're going to take to recorrect it and keep the timeline going in the direction they want. But does that mean that they're not using some advanced technology like that? Absolutely not. They totally could be. It's very possible.
Yeah, I think the more Occam's razor thing about it would be just like what you were saying. If there's a plan in place, we want to believe that there's a plan. And then, of course, there's moves and counter moves, options A, B, C, D, based on the decisions that the other side makes. Then they would know ahead of time. So the future proving past would be, I think, Praying Medics said, when news breaks now, and you go back and look at the past posts from a year ago, 2 years ago, and you see how our favorite Anon was alluding to those things, it's kind of becomes, a Q proof more so than, timestamps and deltas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is something, if anything, it lets you know that that's what you're seeing happen now is what was being referred to in the past.
Yes. Our Cloaked Unseen World, are you the one who emailed me about the 528 gigahertz frequency stuff? Because I just emailed Dr. Leonard Horowitz today. I'm trying to get him on the program. Since you mentioned Praying Medic, I think it's an excellent time to also say that Praying Medic is going to be on the show in the very near future. And then also, Minimo said, after that horrible event in September of 2001, I thought I was awoke and believed USA was a main cause for the NWO. After Trump and our favorite Anon, I woke up properly and realized that no government is homogenous. Now I love American patriots. Where we go one, we go all. Love from the UK. It's an excellent point. You can't look at any one group of people, you can't look at any one government and say that it all represents the exact same thing. There are so many competing interests happening in there. And just to go back to the point about the Patriots and the plan. Don't forget that they also have the ability to listen in on every single conversation of these people. They are tracking every single communication they make. They listen to every single phone call. I think that, they say something, they listen to what they're going to, say, who they're going to call, what their plans are in secret, and then they can, basically predict the future based on those private communications. I think that that's a really likely scenario too.
Well, and also just real quick, in the past, Trump claimed, no Russia collusion, hasn't done anything wrong. All these other people have said these things, and now he's being exonerated now. So the future's proving past statements.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. And I'll say it's possible on the tech stuff, but I like to talk more about things that I can actually put together in my head and look at with evidence at the moment.
Right. I try to be as pragmatic as possible. I use Occam's razor. What's the simplest explanation? But in many cases, the simplest explanation is that there is so much going on behind the scenes, like in terms of government and, advanced technology. I know those things exist. I just don't know what they are, and so I can't claim to know that they're being used. Let's see. Patriot Dog Dad said, any opinion on the screenshot posted showing a 2016 on the Fox News broadcast yesterday? Yeah, I think somebody there in the Fox News production staff is definitely on the team. Not necessarily, directly working with our favorite Anon, but they're a patriot, okay? They're, where we go one, we go all, 100%. Because the the 0 is nowhere near the Q, okay? That was totally done on purpose. What do you think, Methods?
Right, and you would have had to have hit the shift or the to get that to play out if you're just doing 2016. And I know that the titles and stuff are always typically in caps.
Yeah.
But it would have to have been planned as such for it to be that way. So no, I think if anything, it's somebody trolling, and it's awesome.
Yes, yeah, totally awesome. So thank you, Patriot Dog Dad. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anyone. Kathy Newman, I don't know if I said thank you to you, but thank you to you. Navy Vet says, what is your thoughts on Xi working with POTUS? That's a tough one. For everything that I know about the Chinese CCP, the Chinese government, I know that they are insular, okay? They take care of each other and themselves. They're very selfish. It's possible that Xi might be working with POTUS, but I do believe that China is probably our greatest global, adversary. So I think it's more likely that China is not necessarily working with POTUS. I think that things could have gone a way different way. But it's also possible that, just in the same way that our government has factions that are fighting against each other, the Chinese does too. But I think that they are way better at propaganda. They are way better at quashing dissent over there. And it's more likely that they are all on the exact same page. What do you think about it, Methods?
Oh, I totally agree with how you said it, because I think that China would be in bed with a lot of different people, right?
Yeah.
So this would be, enemy of my enemy is my friend type stuff. The trade world, when it comes to the Silk Road thing that they've been working on for forever, and different variations, you would have that. Now, as far as Trump working with him, I'm not too sure. If anything, the only the most politics that you'll ever see Trump do is talk politely about them, because that's also a common thing that China does to their enemies as well.
Well, but Trump does it with all dictators. Let's be honest. You have to put on a public face if you're going to get these despots to, even talk to you or work with you in any fashion. And China's huge on respect. If you don't respect them, then they're not even going to give you the time of day.
No, I agree with that. And I just saw somebody in the chat ask again for the link to Flynn's donation. So
okay.
I'm dropping that again real quick.
All right.
And our favorite Anon just dropped a banger.
I saw that. Yeah. And also people were asking about Dr. Mikovits. She's going to be on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Tonight is going to be John Mark Dugan, the former Florida cop who had to get asylum in Russia because they were coming after him because of the information from the infamous deceased billionaire Jeffrey that he has. I need to say thank you to White Hat. He says, pow, 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 reload, pow. Thank you, White Hat. Praise and Joy, thank you for that. Kevin Kavanaugh, thank you for that. Avalea Kelly says, heard today Ventura County in California are going to start knocking on doors, and if they've had CV and anyone they've been in contact with, they're going to start taking people from their homes. Hope it isn't true. Unfortunately, Miss Kelly, it is true. We talked about it yesterday on the program. We showed a press conference that the Ventura County public health officials put on. They're going to start doing it, unfortunately. God's Daughter, thank you for that. And then she also said, please check out Amanda Grace at Ark of Grace Ministries, possible future guest. I will definitely check her out. Baby Yoda says, gives White Hat extra clip. Thank you, Baby Yoda. Glad to see you, buddy. Sam says, Patriots, when Trump has live pressers, please slide in quickly to the slimy mainstream media YouTube channels and click like. Amp up the numbers for DJT. Love you all. Yeah, anytime I see President Trump doing something, I give it a like. Grammy J in Ohio says, check into Whole Tones Healing Frequency Music Project by Michael Terrell. Okay, I'll do that. Chef Dan says, praying for you, White Hat and Baby while they're praying for White Hat and Baby while they're doing it. Praying for White. I don't know if I am reading that right, but okay, good. Praying for White Hat. I'll leave it at that. Then White Hat says that the new post is Pow Pow Pow. Love CS Intel. And Stephanie Sprague, iPod got cute. Are you going to play it? It's hilarious. I've just been waiting to get through those chats so that I could play it. Yes, I will go ahead and play it right now.
I've sat here for over 3 hours and 15 minutes. I've told you I'll come back. I just don't believe we're sitting here negotiating when I come back. We'll follow up with your office. How long would you like me to come back for next time? I've told you I'll accommodate you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your reminding us of the length of time other secretaries have been here. This is a new way, and it's a new day.
My colleagues might think it's okay.
If you wish to leave, you may.
You might think it's okay that later that day.
And it's a new day.
I don't think that's okay.
If you wish to leave, you may.
I would just say that you might think that's okay.
The secretary has agreed to stay.
I look forward to being back in May. I don't think that's okay. They did not treat the Secretary of the Treasury this way.
It's a new day.
If this is the way,
This is a new way.
you're instructing me to stay. I don't think that's okay today.
And I'll stay.
We'll work on a date.
And you said okay, and I have the gavel at this point.
I don't understand what you're saying. I've sat here for over 3 hours and 15 minutes.
And it's a new chair.
Can you clarify that for me?
Yes, clarify. It's a new chair,
Okay,
and I have the gavel at this point. If you wish to leave, you may.
Please dismiss everybody. I believe you're supposed to take the gravel and bang it. That's
Please do not instruct me as to how I am to conduct this committee. I have the gavel at this point. This committee is adjourned.
Thank you, and I look forward to being back in May.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Okay, moving on to the next post. Actually, next two posts. We have a tweet from John Cardillo. This is great. All assets deployed. Win by any means necessary. Democratic Party death spiral. So let me pull up that. Where is that John Cardillo tweet? I'll just pull it up, a new one. Okay, so take a look at this. He says, if HRC had won, you'd never even know what CV-19 is. I take this to mean that John is well aware that this was a tactic specifically designed to destroy President Trump. If HRC had gotten into office, there would have been no need to release this situation that we find ourselves in. So I think that our favorite Anon is telling us it's manufactured. I think John Cardillo knows it's manufactured. John gets shared quite a few times on this board, and I like John. I think you should give him a follow if you're not following him.
All I'll say about that is that I think that the deployment of this attack was always planned for the big power grab that they're kind of trying to do now. Mm-hmm. But under a controlled presidency, they would have gotten away with it a lot more. Would it have happened before this election? Not sure if Hillary was running, which I don't even like talking about. But I honestly think that it was always the plan to do that, because look at what they're trying to do as far as go after all our rights. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we before I get into this next post, I want to tell you guys about this tweet from Ivan Penchikov. So he said, Michael Sussman told Congress that the DNC offered the FBI physical access to its servers and the FBI declined. James Comey told Congress that the FBI asked for access to and the DNC declined. Now, who's lying? Because it can't be both ways. Either the DNC lied, or James Comey lied, or Michael Sussman lied. It's one of these multiple people here talking about this. And now in this next post, we've got some information about CrowdStrike. It says CrowdStrike testimony regarding the DNC and Russia hack. Now, another thing that came out was that the owner of CrowdStrike, or was it somebody else at CrowdStrike that was testifying, Methods?
The guy testifying is tied to Perkins Coie.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's Michael Sussman.
Yeah.
Okay. So Michael Sussman was testifying, and he said that that CrowdStrike had no evidence that the DNC was hacked by Russians and then gave the information off to WikiLeaks. This is something we've covered here a couple weeks ago. I think we talked about it on Comfy Sunday. I also talked about it on one of the daily shows. There was no evidence. However, there was a lot of people that were out there in the mainstream who were touting it as if it was a fact. Well, we've got the evidence. They testified that there was no evidence. So our favorite anon continues, no direct evidence, manipulation of source, comp-to-comp transfer speed, hack. No, it was a USB drive, not a hack over the wires. WL published, was that SR187. So the murder of the person who actually got the information. MS-13, 1987, 187 geolocation. So is the methods, do you think that's where they were found in their car? Was that like North or South Carolina?
It wasn't that far away from it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I mean, this whole thing right here, I would like to see it mapped out and all that. It's a lot of information here, man.
It's a ton, man.
But, you know, these were the posts that we used to get back. That reminds me of 2018.
It's the good old days, right?
Right. Yeah, but no, there's a lot of information here, but our favorite Anon's laying this out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then it mentions the date that those MS-13 people were found. MS-13 case summary notes. I haven't seen that, actually. Interning for the DNC can be deadly. Obviously, a mention of Seth. All witness reports, non-evidence Russia, POTUS Connect. Dossier primary vehicle for FISA Supreme Court impeach. Dossier discredit prior to known. No name assist, John you-know-who. Senator stamp credible. So yeah, put his stamp on it, which makes it credible, gives it to BuzzFeed. FBI Floor 7, DNI POTUS, Presidential Daily Briefing. Yeah, so this is just laying out the way that everything happened, the exact timeline. So I'm sure you guys are looking at it right now. I'm just going to continue to look through this and see if there's anything. So then it talks about the tarmac meeting, talks about the upstream data collection of POTUS and the other people in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Let's see. DOJ Loretta Lynch instructed Comey to drop all charges on the mainstream media. DOJ Loretta Lynch instruct language in the report for HRC saying that she was careless rather than she broke laws. The 7th floor put in deep cover operatives. The 7th floor assisted the Clowns in America with domestic spying, which is against the charter of the Clowns in America. Man, I think that in the end of this, we might be looking at the actual complete and total dismissal of the Clowns in America, because it's just become more and more obvious that they had a major part to play in this. And, as it says, based on their charter, they're only allowed to operate outside the shores of the United States. But clearly, they've been working as like a domestic spy agency. They've been doing the job of the FBI, probably because they have tools that allow them to do so much more than the FBI does. Obviously, with all of those, the WL releases that came out. But, based upon the fact that they're supposed to be spying on foreign governments and, foreign adversaries, they turned that around and they used it here in the United States on a presidential candidate, which is just shocking.
Yeah, you can't have this kind of information come out and expect any form of trust in it at all, even to the people that are out there, that believe the mainstream media narrative. If those people can understand what we're talking about here and what they did, it's got to. But to me, I want to say that our favorite Anons referred to it before, but I think that they're going to be absorbed into another agency and get, or at least downsized to a great degree and then put under somebody else's control. Even though they don't they kind of answer in a way to the DNI?
Well, I mean, the DNI oversees all intelligence agencies, or rather like coordination and stuff like that. But I mean, if they answer to anybody, I think that they work mostly through the State Department, because the State Department is basically like the domestic version of the Clowns in America. Then they have all their people. You go to these, what is it called? The embassies. You go to the embassies in each of these countries, and that's where the Clowns in America works out of. The State Department is kind of the public face of them. Let me see. Denise says, just seen a group photo of Dr. Mikovic at a Rockefeller ranch. What was that? Lawrence Rockefeller, probably. Lawrence Rockefeller did a lot with trying to infiltrate all different types of movements in the 1990s. He got into medicine. The Rockefellers have been in medicine for generations. Also, the UFO game, been involved in a lot of different things. But I think just because Dr. Mikovits might have been pictured with Lawrence Rockefeller doesn't mean that she is necessarily bad. But if somebody wants to bring it up on Saturday, I'll be happy to ask her about it. BabyLove78 says, I hope based on our latest 4153 that the Seth truth is revealed. Justice for Seth. I sure hope so, too. I think that is a necessary part of this entire production that we're seeing play out. The truth of it has to come out because at this point, everybody knows it wasn't Russia. Everybody is pretty well aware that it had to have been done with a USB drive. And perhaps, maybe we're not going to find out until we get Julian back here on American soil. And didn't the UK just push his extradition back to past the election?
Yeah, it's pushed till September.
Oh, okay. All right. So before.
Pretty close. But yeah, no, they just did it. I don't even know what the reason was. It's probably over all this Kung Flu stuff.
Yeah. Stephanie Ustvin says, as on California and removing infected people to new location, they are now backtracking their statements. Good. You guys push back. Don't let it happen. Robin Tepfer says, hey, Red, just sending some love. XOXO. Thank you very much, Robin. Cindy DeKine says, CV19 researcher. Don't go anywhere. Trying to reset the stream. Don't go anywhere, guys. I guess there's a couple of things I still can't say. Just trying to get Methods back on the line so we can give it a proper goodbye. Go over the last couple of things. I can't even connect to Discord. All right, guys. Well, I cannot get back onto Discord to send Methods another link to join us. Yes, they shut the stream down. I had to reboot. I started the music and I started the card so that just in case it came back on, you guys would have something. Well, I think I think there's a couple of things I said. SR, that's definitely something I'm probably not allowed to say. So I will definitely not do that in the future. Got to be more careful. They've gotten me a couple of times this week. I'll be real honest. I need to say thank you to Jay Chicago. Wait for it. Danielle Battelle says, I emailed you late last night. Let me know what you think. I'll have to find it. Our Cloaked Unseen World says, you're going to have who again discuss Dr. Leonard Horowitz. He's the man who discovered that stuff. Did you read the Nikola Tesla prophecies on discussing page amazing 500? I started reading it, dude, but there's so much. There's been a lot going on. I need you to email me. That would really be helpful. Not having it in those comments was not easy for me. Live Free or Die says, Ray being fired today. Love you guys. Thanks for all you do. Where we go one, we go all. If he is, that is an incredible thing. I'll definitely have to look into it. And then thank you, Kim Hansen. Amanda Grace had a vision while praying of a newspaper with the headline, boom. Love you guys. Well, that's awesome. Gonna have to check that out too. All right, guys. Once again, if you want to send me anything you want me to look into, definitely send me an email with like a very, very obvious in the title saying interview this person or, check this out. But if you can send me a description of why it is that you want me to look into it, it's very helpful because I get hundreds of emails a day. I'm still reading emails from back at the beginning of April. That's how much of a backlog I have. I try to do it every single day, but I don't always get to. There are times when I want to, take some time off, hang out on the couch with the dogs, or even when I have to feed and walk the dogs. And then, of course, when I want to go see my my lovely girlfriend, Real Red Pill Girlfriend. Honey, I love you. I love the audience. I love everybody who's here with us. Thank you for sticking it out, you guys. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Methods, even though you're not here, buddy. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. Don't forget to join us tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for John Mark Dugan. We're going to be talking about his incredible experience. All right, everybody. Good luck and God bless.